Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakareshu Sarvada Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Om Ganganapate 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 Namo Namaha Sarva Mangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanye Trambake Gauri Narayani Namostute Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Mahasaraswati Rupena Samstita Namastasya 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 Namo Namaha Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Om Gunatitoksharam Brahma Bhagavan Purushottamah Jano Janandidam Satyam Muchyate Bhavabandhanat Om Bhagavate Shri Swami Narayanaya Namaha Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya Om Namah Shivaya Sri Krishnaya Namaha Shri Radha Krishnaya Namaha Shri Nar Narayanaya Namaha Shri Lakshmi Narayanaya Namaha Shri Vasudev Narayanaya Namaha Shri Badri Narayanaya Namaha Om Namo Narayanaya Om Namo Narayanaya Om Namo Narayanaya Om Namo Narayanaya Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Shri Hanumate Namaha, Jai Hanuman Gyana Guna Sagar, Jai Kapisteu Loka Ujagar, Ramaduta Atulita Baladhama, Anjani Putra Pavana Sutanama, Mahavira Bikram Bajarangi, Kumati Nivara Sumatike Sangi, Kanchana Barana Biraj Subesa Kanana Kundal, Kunchita Kesa, Shri Hanumate Namaha, Om Namo Hanumate Bhaya Bhanjanaya, Sukham Kuru Phat Swaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 1st of December, the first of the month today, 1st of December 2022. It is such a blessing to see all of you, and with the grace of the Supreme Lord, Supreme Paramatma, and the grace of the Sanatana Dharma and all the sages, I offer my prostrations, Dandvat Pranam, to all of you, to all the great sages who have come, who are present today, and who are yet to come, from my heart. So from that prarthana, we are continuing our very, very beautiful exposition. You know, the beauty of Shankaracharyaji's words, the grace of Bhagwan Shankar on the whole world in the form of Adi Jagat Guru Shankaracharyaji Maharaj, where he has spoken and has given this scripture that is Vivekchudamani, which is needed for everybody in life. When we lose Viveka, we lose everything in life. That's where the problems all come about. So, the Viveka, of course, that Shankaracharyaji is talking about is the highest Viveka. It's the highest Viveka between the real and the unreal. We have talked about it before, and that is where we are aiming towards, to realize the oneness and the effulgence of the Akshara Brahma, the Ananda, the divine joy, the Divya Ananda. Along those lines, we have been continuing to talk about sadhana, and particularly Sabija Sadhana. So from the last 3 or 4 days, we have been considering what is meant by Sabij Sadhana and what are the types of Sabij Sadhana. So mantra sadhana is one major type of Sabij Sadhana. Sabij means with seed. With seed meaning that just like when you plant a seed in the ground, it grows and becomes a tree and a plant. You know, it grows and then all the branches, and it grows into a beautiful structure. It grows. That's an analogy. That's why this word is used, that the Bij mantra, that a seed is planted inside the mind. This is the whole point, that the seed is planted. Now, I want to go further from where we were last time. Yesterday, we started talking about the power of Navaran mantra. You know, so the Navaran mantra, the Namah Shivaya mantra, and there are thousands of mantras. So I want to, by the grace of all the rishis, see if we can open this further, because like any of these topics, these are extensive, but in short time we can still capture the essence. Every mantra that is Vedic in nature and or Shakti oriented in nature, which is also kind of really Vedic. All Veda mantras have energy, but Shakti mantras are from the Tantra tradition. You see, so people say they get afraid of when they hear the word Tantra and all. There's nothing to be afraid of. It just simply means that it is an integration. I'll explain that further, what it is. But those are sound vibration, right? So the point is, every Veda mantra, every specific type of mantra that was constructed thousands of years back, including Namah Shivaya mantra, the Ganesha mantra, for example, this Om Gam Ganapate Namaha, this mantra is in the Atharva Shirsha that we do every day in the morning. There is a rishi that has written all of that. So something to keep in mind. every mantra has something called 6 limbs. This is called Shadanga. Shadanga means 6 limbs. What are those 6 limbs? They are Rishi, Devata, Bij, Shakti, Chand and Kilak. Okay, so 6 things are there. Very interesting. Now what does this mean? Now we are going further into mantra, the whole topic of mantra. Very interesting. That the Rishi, the word Rishi or Rishi is a seer, is a researcher, as we mentioned. But there is a seer who has discovered the existence of the sound vibration that is mantra, is heard and is able to speak it and is able to write about it, speak it, and has realized the Devata, the deity, connected with the sound vibration. See the interesting linkage. There is Rishi, Devata. The Devata, what do we mean by Devata? What is Devata? Very interesting. So when the Rishis, the researchers in ancient times, looked at nature, they said, yes, there is a Surya, there is a sun. Yes, there is a moon, there is a earth, there is water, there is plant. There is this nature. It has to have existence from somewhere. It comes from somewhere. It has some origin point. It has a karana. Now, I'm going to introduce 2 words here. Karya, Karana, Sambandha. And this is all being recorded for reference. It's not because of Sachin's ego or anything. It is just for our reference and other people's reference later on sometime, to understand these fundamental ideas so we can contemplate. That's why I'm just recording these. So Karya, Karana, Sambandha means what? When we look at the Prakriti outside, what do we see? We see the sun, we see the moon, we see the air, we see the water, we see the earth, we see our body also, we see our parents, we see our grandparents, we see. This is all within the field of perception. Another word here, that is drushya. Drushya means everything that is within the field of the senses. That is called drushya. So everything that is within the field of senses, it has to have some cause. That is called karana. Karana means cause. And karya means effect. And then the relationship between cause and effect. That is called karya, which is the effect. Karya cannot exist without cause. Karya, karana, and the word sambandha means the relationship. What is this relationship? So, in ancient times, the Prakriti was first of all respected, seen with adoration and respect. That's big in itself. वो बहुत बड़ी बात है. Just to see with adoration and respect is the first step. Then to ask the question using our buddhi, what is the cause of the sun? Well, how do we connect with the sun? How do we connect with the moon, with the air, etc.? So this is where in the Veda mantra, the 4 Vedas, Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samveda, Atharvaveda, the 4 Vedas that Vedvyasji wrote down historically, but they were there before him. These 4 Vedas are all connectors with the Devatas that are creating Prakriti. ठीक है? Okay, very interesting. So, this is a massive research. This is not something that is even 5,000. It could be 10,000, 20,000. Nobody knows. It is Sanatana. This research, this revelation, it is Apaurashaya. Because it is eternally existing in terms of Prakriti. So the mantras, the Veda mantras themselves, when one begins to speak them and chant them, one is connecting with the Devata, with the specific spiritual being or power that is responsible for creating that aspect of Prakriti. So that's why every mantra has 6 limbs. Shadanga. Anga means limbs. Like we have physical body, we have hands and legs and like this. So Shadanga means 6 limbs. That is the seer. The first is this Rishi. Everything begins with the Rishis. Without the Rishis, there is nothing else that's going to come. They are the conduit. They are the ones who, by the grace of God, by the grace of Bhagavan, Paramatma, by the grace of the reality that we see around us, by the grace of Brahman, that they come, they manifest here for the liberation of the Jivatma. They're not here because of vasana and bhog and ignorance and raga and dvesh and all this mess that most people are here because of. They're not here for that. They are the Mahapurushas. They have manifested, descended from the higher reality. So many are there, so many. And these are called rishis. And there's a whole parampara. Even right now, they keep coming. They keep coming again and again and again. This is the first point. First limb is Rishi. What is the Rishi doing? Rishi has done sadhana and is also a Siddha. Has realized the spiritual truths and is using a mantra. Mantra has been revealed. It has come in parampara, in lineage, and but the original Rishi is the original researcher. Like, for example, in physics, we have Einstein, right, with all the Einsteinian equations. Well, because of him, thousands of people have come after him, and they have added to that, and they have used his equations and all that. The same thing is, so he was like a Rishi in physics, like that. Something new, this whole relativity theory, special relativity theory, general relativity theory, so many things are there. And now there's so much development based on that. So that new opening, that access point into a further realization that keeps happening in the Sanatana Dharma. That is the basis. So the Vedas are apaurushaya, meaning that they are not created by human mind, and they are beautifully given by grace to the sansara. Sansara meaning this relative reality is called sansara. They are given by grace. By the Rishis are giving by grace, by krupa. So what is it that they are giving? They are giving the bij mantra. They are giving mantra. And they're giving the mantra because mantras are all bij. They're made out of sounds. Like we talked about it last 2 times. Om Namah Shivaya, Panchakshari mantra. Namaha Shivaya. Where did this come from? As an example, now if you look at Srimad Bhagavatam, the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 18th Purana, it begins with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Abhi iska mahima kya hai? Namah Shivaya mahima ka kya hai? You know, in a general sense, we can say dono Bhagwan ke mantra hai. Theek hai, koi baat nahi. That's fine. We can understand that way. But that is just a general understanding. There is a much more in-depth understanding behind these mantras. So the mantra that is given by the Rishi is from the realization of the Rishi. He cannot give something that the person has not realized. For example, in mathematics, when calculus was discovered by Leibniz and Newton, both of them are credited about discovery of calculus independently. But this calculus is not something that they invented. They utilized their intellectual ability, curiosity, jignasa vritti to discover that dimension of mathematics. It is an opening. So we will see this parallel. There's a parallel between aparavidya and paravidya. Now, there are 2 more words here. What is aparavidya and what is paravidya? And what is the link between the two? Very interesting subject. Very interesting thing to understand. If we look at the universities of the world today, if you go to any university, you have all those departments. Physics and astronomy and biological science and chemistry and medical science. So many departments and sub-departments and specialties and all that. That knowledge that is coming from all the universities, which has come through the senses ultimately, that is called in the Upanishada aparavidya. That is within the realm of Prakriti. And the Ved mantras are also within the realm of Prakriti, but they are a bridge into the Paravidya. Vedanta. Vedas are a foundation to fix and destroy the problems that the human being has within the realm of Prakriti, and then set the foundation for Vedanta. Anta means beyond, is the end portion, meaning where the Vedas stop, where knowledge ends, experience, Anubhav begins. Knowledge meaning it's not just it's this knowledge of Prakriti. Ved means to know. So knowledge of Prakriti stops. It not stops, it comes to a culmination and it cannot go further. There's a certain boundary there. And as soon as that boundary is reached, that is where Vedanta begins. And all of this profound realization is part of the 6 limbs of any mantra. The mantra, every mantra is not the same. Some people say, what difference does it make if I chant Gayatri mantra at night time? No, you're not supposed to chant Gayatri mantra at night time. It is not to be, it will have some really terrible effect. You're not supposed to have, mantras have to be chanted based on Guru Parampara. They are a very strict science of sadhana. Mantra ke saath, you cannot play around with Veda mantras or Tantra mantras or Shakti mantras. They have to be chanted in specific way at certain times under the instructions of an enlightened sage. Or ye mantra ki sadhana karni nahi. It is the only exception, from my understanding over the last many years, under the guidance of many different gurus, is that Namah Shivaya mantra, yes, no problem. Koi baat nahi. Iske liye you don't need to have any particular guru or anything like that. If you have guru, it's very good. That you don't need some specialization for that. But otherwise, there is definitely a need, like Ganesh mantra, Om Ganganapate Namah, no problem. Om Namah Shivaya, no problem. The Navaran mantra also generally not an issue. Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundaya Viche ek bhakti bhav se karenge, koi baat nahi. But if you're going to go further in Navaran mantra, which we will talk about a little bit later also, it is good to be under the guidance of a guru who has the realization of that form of goddess, of Devi. Because as I mentioned yesterday, intention is very relevant in Shakti mantras. We'll get to all this in just a moment here. The point is that the rishis are giving a mantra. That mantra is going to do what? It is going to open Shakti. So this is the next part. So the mantra always opens Shakti. But Shakti, meaning what? Dormant power. It opens Shakti to give the Jivatma certain experience that the Jivatma is looking for, that the person is looking for, and also to open ultimately that doorway into the infinite reality called Akshara Brahma, the Nirakara Akshara Brahma. Ye Vachanamrut ki bhi baat hai. That's another very advanced subject. See this point. When a mantra is chanted, energy is definitely awakened. But that awakened energy, what does it do? What does that awakened energy do? That awakened energy has to flow within a certain range for the benefit of the individual chanting and benefit of others, for the benefit. And in fact, that energy flow has to occur in a very good, healthy, in a certain controlled way, in a certain, how can we say this? In a way that it actually grows steadily and it awakens the mind to its full capacity. As J. Krishnamurti would say, the awakening of the non-mechanical parts of the brain. This is a statement he would make, which is what it is called. It is called Jnanaush. It is called the awakening of the mind. It is called the awakening of the system from within. And for that reason, the mantras also have something called kilak. So kilak is the locking. The mantra gets locked in the system. Inside the chakra system, inside the mind, it gets locked. So why is it locked? Kilak means locking means what? It has to be stabilized in such a way, and it gets stabilized. When you start speaking the mantra with a good bhavana and all, and depending on which mantra is being chanted, And what is the intention behind all? So much has to be there. And then on that basis, by the grace of Paramatma, that mantra begins to grow. Ye baat hai. So those who are chanting, there are so many rules and niyams on chanting Ved mantra. People say most Hindus don't know Ved mantras. Because it's not, you can have pandits, you can call the pandits or gurus or whoever, they can do, they do the puja because they're trained in that. We can, for most of us, we can do bhajan, kirtan, wo theek hai, that's fine. Some Namah Shivaya mantra, some like this, sometimes Gayatri mantra, all that is okay. To some extent. Then there are other Vaishnava mantras that anybody can chant, like Hare Krishna mantra. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ji ki krupa aisi thi, koi bhi chant karta. Anybody can chant Hare Krishna mantra, which is actually in the Vedas. It is also in the Vedas, but because of the advent of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and so many gurus that came even before him, after him, they opened by Krupa these mantras that anybody chants, they'll get liberated. वो एक अलग बात है. That is bhakti. That is through bhakti that the mantras are chanted, and the gurus have put their blessings in that. That is why people can chant them without having any difficulty. Ram mantra is like that, Krishna mantra is like that. There are many, but certain other mantras are not like that. You see, so the point is, when mantra is chanted, energy awakens, and that energy awakens, it awakens the intellect, it awakens your experience. Now, what does the mantra do? This goes back to the Gita, and it actually connects with chapter 15, verses 1 and 2. So in chapter 15, the first verse is this. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. That is, Urdhva Moolam Madhashakam Ashvatham Prahuravyam Chandansi Yasya Paranani Yastam Vedasa Vedavit. This is the first verse in chapter 15, Purushottama Prapti Yoga. Bhagavan Krishna is explaining here very clearly that this whole creation is, with an analogy, as an upside down Ashwatha tree, banyan tree. He's giving that analogy where the roots are on the top and all the leaves and everything are at the bottom. That the Vedic hymns are the leaves, but what is the trunk? That is Brahma, the Lord Brahma, the creator of the universe. And then beyond that Brahma is the Brahman, that is the Paramatma actually. That is Bhagavan Purushottam, that is the supreme being, supreme reality. So this is a doorway. All these mantras are a doorway ultimately into the supreme. We can start with any path. It ultimately will lead us there. But the point is, when we are speaking the Veda mantras or different mantras given by the different gurus, they are going to have a certain awakening. It will awaken the energies. Now, the energy that is awakened, it is going to impact and change the anubhav in the Jagrat Avastha, Swapna Avastha, Shushupti Avastha, which is where Shankaracharya ji is talking about the Atma, that the Atma is experiencing the three Avasthas. Is it not so? Are we not experiencing them? Of course we are. Didn't we not wake up this morning by the grace of God? Yes, we woke up this morning. Are we in a Jagrat Avastha right now? Yes, we are in a Jagrat Avastha right now. Where is this experience of this waking Avastha coming from? That is coming from a special power of Paramatma within the Atma through the chakras to create the world outside. Now this is one heck of a concept. Ye Vedanta ka real concept hai. That the experience that we are seeing, the galaxies and the universes and all these things, we feel we are in the world. In one sense, yes, sure, why not? But the experience we are having in our own individual body, through the body and around us as an individualized being, that experience for the individualized Jivatma is modified and changed based on the Shakti that is awakened through these mantras. For example, let's say someone has some health issue. Maybe there's some kidney problem, liver problem, skin problem, some health problem is there. So what is the mantra for that? There's a mantra for everything. Right? So one of the biggest mantras is Mahamrutyunjay, which people know about that. But iski sadhana hai. It is to be chanted correct and with bhakti bhav. See, Mahamrutyunjay mantra, how it is spoken, right? Om Trambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushtivardhanam Urva Rukamiva Bandhanan Mrittar Mukshiyamamritat. This is Mahamrutyunjay mantra. Iske beej bhi hai. There's a beej mantras that are going to lock it further. This is the science of mantra sadhana. It is a science. It's an ancient science that is preserved in parampara, in the Sanatana Dharma. So, one needs training for that. If somebody is going to study Rudram, Chamakam, for example, you need training. It has to be studied. You can listen, no doubt. But to actually speak it, to chant it, it is a massive science and it is a sadhana. Right? So when mantra is spoken, the bhav with which it is spoken is that bhavatmak shakti. The deity that it is going to connect with. Now people say, wait a minute, why are there what do you mean so many deities? Yes, within Prakriti there are thousands of deities. Devatas, they're called. But they are all connected to, they're all coming from only one source. Just like we have, in our home, we have electricity coming in the home, but it's manifesting in so many different ways, right? Through a light bulb, through a fan, through a computer, through a teapot, through whatever, microwave, refrigerator. These things are all different in the objects in that sense, but the energy is the same. Similarly, that supreme power is only one, but it is coming in different forms at different times through Prakriti. That is the evolution and manifestation of Prakriti. So when mantras are spoken with this, there are 6 angas, and there is actually the verse for these 6 angas. Like when we do Siddha Kunjika Stotra, you see, before we do the Siddha Kunjika, there is always this 6 Shadanga statement that is there, and that is there for the Ganesha mantra, that is there for so many mantras like this. Like for example, when we say Om Asya Shri Kunjika Stotra Mahamantrasya Sadashiva Rushihi, see the Rishi, Sadashiva Rushihi Anushtup Chanda, that is the Chanda. Shri Trigunatmika Devata, who is the Devata? That is the power of the Mahashakti within the 3 gunas of Maya, that can liberate us from Maya and also give us the experiences within the 3 gunas of Maya. See? So Om Asya Shri Kunjika Stotra Mahamantrasya Sadashiva Rushihi. Who is the Rishi? Bhagwan Shankar has become the Rishi. He's the Rishi that is giving this mantra. That is giving. So every mantra begins like this. Every mantra begins with this kind of statement. Om Asya Shri Kunjika Stotra Mahamantrasya Sadashiva Rushihi Anushtup Chandaha. The Chanda is Anushtup. That is a meter, a poetic meter. Shri Trigunatmika Devata Om Aim Bijam. Aim Bij mantra. This Aim Rim Klim Chamunda, which is expansion. Aim is the Bij mantra. Om Aim Bijam Rim Shakti. In this case, Mahalakshmi ji is the Shakti. Rim Shakti Klim Kilakam. The Kilak, the locking is Mahakali. Why is that? Because all the destruction of all the problems and difficulties has to occur. So who is the Rishi for the Durga Saptashati, for Siddha Kunjika, is Bhagwan Shankar himself. This is an example. In the Vaishnava mantras, other rishis are there. In for example, the Om Ganganapate Nama or Vakratundaya Hum, this mantra that is there, the Rishi is Bhargav Rishi. Om Asya Shri Ganapati Shadakshara Mahamantrasya Bhargava Rishihi Anushtup Chanda Vam Bijam Yam Shakti. Like this, so this is it is a respect given, and it is an acknowledgement that this has come from this rishis. This is how the mantras are chanted. This has to be done under the guidance of Guru. ये जो सब मंत्र की सब बाबत है, it has to go under guidance of Guru. And if you don't have Guru, make हनुमान जी गुरु, हनुमान चालीसा कीजिए, कोई बात नहीं, नमः शिवाय मंत्र कीजिए, गणपति का मंत्र कीजिए और भजन कीर्तन कीजिए. No problem at all. But all these other things, whether it is Mahamrutyunjay, the Rudram and Chamakam, and particularly Shakti mantra, one has to have Guru. One should not do any Shakti mantra without Guru. Only except as Om Aim Rim Klim Chamunda, which as a Bhakti Bhav towards Devi, no problem. And even Devi ki jo bhajan hai, you have to be careful with that because it is a direct activation of energy. So, to some extent, it is okay. You see, because without the actual guidance of a personalized guru, or who is really helping and assisting you all the way through, or maybe in an organization they're assisting you, it's okay. That's all. So otherwise there is something called Kundalini syndrome, which I mentioned before. It's a psychiatric problem. If you awaken lots of energies without the proper development and proper guidance, people wind up gyrating like this. See, this is not something to play around with. These Shakti mantras particularly. So energy awakening has to happen gradually. And let me put it to you this way. I just want to mention this. Sadhuta, Santatva, this is the supreme power. In Swaminarayan Satsang, the emphasis is always on Seva, Bhakti, Sadhuta. Why is that? Hamare mein sadhuta nahi hogi. The purification, purified state. If you don't have that, that's where the problems occur in energy awakening. So energy has to be awakened with the cultivation of a pure heart. That is called sadhuta, sadhutva. Sadhuta doesn't mean clothes and people just wearing different. It's not like that. It is the quality of the emotion and the intention of the sadhaka. I mentioned this yesterday also, because if you have negative intention, the energies can go into that also. Now, people ask, how can that happen? Why not? Because it is raw. You're activating raw energy. And that is available in the realm of Prakriti. Prakriti is Sattva Gun, Rajo Gun, Tamo Gun. So one has to be aware what one is looking for. This is the whole point. So, and that awareness comes from what is the desire inside. What is the sankalpa inside? What you want to see happen, you can have that. This is the whole point. This is the whole point, that the desire inside is everything. What you are wanting to see happen. Somebody will say, I just want to please God. Bhagavad Prasannata. To wo milega. That you will get blessings of God and everything will open. That is the highest in one sense. But people living in the sansar have so many difficulties, of endless amount of difficulty. So the rishis from ancient times, they said, wait a minute. People are living in the sansar. They're not just going to jump into the Brahmic state, Aham Brahmasmi. It's not going to happen. It's so much difficulty and all kinds of back and forth is there in the sansar. How to live in the sansar with peace of mind, with benefit for all, while getting the best experiences from the sansar. This is where the Veda mantras came into play. And this is also where all other kinds of the Shakti mantras came into play. So there are rishis who are devotees of the goddess, this Om Aim Rim Klim Chamunda, which is one of the mantras. So they would do the sadhana for others. And then if they have a shishya who is actually studying that, that's okay. Otherwise, what used to happen, we know this, people who are familiar with the Sanatana Dharma, that certain rishis, they have so much power that awakens, but the saintliness is missing some deficiencies. They can give shrap to someone. ऐसे बहुत प्रसंग है. So many incidences are there where certain intermediate level saints, or I wouldn't call them saints really, but they are in a sadhana stage. But they have achieved a certain siddhi, certain power, and it's called vachan siddhi and sankalp siddhi and all that kind of thing. And they say something and it happens. So they might say something negative and that will happen also. This will happen. These are intermediate stages. There's a lot of stories. That is why Bhagwan Shri Swaminarayan, Sajanand Swami Maharaj has written in Shikshapatri something very, very important, and we'll close with this today. There's a verse written in Shikshapatri, 212 verses. Galidanam tadanam cha krutam kumati bhiljanaihi kshantavyameva sarvesham chintaniyam hitam chitehi. See this point. Ye sab sadhana mein, whatever energy awakens, do not under any circumstances have negative thinking for anybody. ये बहुत बड़ी बात है. See, Galidanam Tadanam Chakrutam Kumiti Bhirijane. Somebody curses us. Somebody even hits us. This used to happen during the time of Maharaj. It's happened before and after also, where there is opposition, at times. Galidanam Tadanam Krutam Kumati Bhirijane. The mati is of those individuals. It's a distorted, mati. They have negativity inside of them. But even if that is there, be very steady. Galidanam Tadanam Cha Krutam Kumati Bhirijane. Kshantavyameva sarvesham. Kshantavyameva means Sahan Shakti. Be steady. Remain steady. Don't respond right away. Don't use your adhyatmic Shakti through anger, through bringing negative things. And if you do a lot of sadhana, even if you do Namah Shivaya mantra sadhana, Bij mantra sadhana, any other sadhana, some level of energy will come from that. And if we use that energy to have a negative thinking towards somebody, then a lot of energy is used in that, and it may affect that person, but it will bounce back. What we put out bounces right back. Ye ek sanatan satya hai. That is the golden rule. That is the whole point. That is why the kilakam is necessary in the mantra sadhana. The kilak is where the mantra is so fixed, it begins to grow, but it begins to grow with chintaniyam hitam chatahi. Mental intention for others is for the benefit of all, for the goodness of all, that kind of sadhana that is done is very, very powerful. It is very good, and it is kalyankari. इसको क्या कहते हैं? Kalyankari sadhana. जो बड़े अभी भी in today's world, we have big saints in Sanatana Dharma. They are always, at all times, 24 hours a day, their body, their mind, their intellect, everything is functioning for the benefit of the whole of humanity, for the benefit of all of creation. They are not functioning from an egotistical, ego-driven, the me state. Because if a siddhi comes, powers comes, these things come, which many times people get attracted to. They want that. No. That is not the goal. What is the goal is Bhagavad Prasannata and the benefit of all. Not to create problems for others, not to have this pratikul vritti. No, not that. Chintaniyam hitam chitai. So then eventually whatever that difficulty, it will resolve. Now, somebody might ask a question. What about the Bhagavad Gita? Bhagwan Krishna is saying to Arjuna, you have to fight and you have to kill all those people. How do you reconcile this thing? That's the fact, right? In this world, sometimes there are some conflicts you have to deal with. And you have to do your duty. But see what Sri Krishna said. You perform your duty. You must know what your duty is. Perform it. But do not hold raga, dvesha, ahankar, and all of this attachment and negativity inside your mind. You just perform your duty and leave it at that. I will take care of the rest. Karishye vachanam tava. See in the Bhagavad Gita, I'll close with this today. In the 18th chapter, Sri Krishna Bhagwan Arjuna said to Krishna, after listening to the whole discourse, Nashto moha smritir labdvat pat prasadan mayachuta gatosmi gatasandeha karishye vachanam tava. He says, my moha is gone, my delusion is gone, my ignorance is gone, all of my wrong understanding is gone. I am going to now perform my duty, and whatever you are telling me to do, I'm going to do that. Karishye vachanam tava. Vachanam, whose vachan? Bhagwan ka vachan. So he is going to perform activity in alignment with enlightenment. That's the basic meaning. In the realm of Prakriti. Realm of Prakriti is filled with all kinds of colorful experiences. My God. Satvik, Rajsik, Tamsik, aisa hi rahega. It's not going to change. Millions of beings are coming and going in this realm of Prakriti. That is the nature of Prakriti. That is what Bhagwan Sri Krishna is saying in chapter 15. And we'll look at that in more detail later on. But the fact that he is saying this is that this world of Prakriti is going to be like this. Stay above it. Don't get stuck inside the realm of Prakriti. This is where the 6 Shad Anga of the mantras, the Rishi, Devata, the Bij, and Shakti, the Chanda and the Kilak, all come together within us. And what do? They protect us from the distortions and disturbances of Prakriti. This is called Kavach. Durga Raksha Kavach, Hanuman Kavach, Narayan Kavach. There's lots of Kavach. Kavach means shield or protection against the onslaught that is coming from the realm of Prakriti. Because of all the other Jivatman people that are there, that are running around with their own ego-driven, ignorance-driven, trouble-driven activity. That is why when we say Namah Shivaya mantra, yes, it will take care of everything. Navaran mantra take care of everything. And then there are other sadhanas, as I was saying, like, the Durga Saptashati has 700 verses. But that requires training and all that. So wo ek alag baat hai. But the more direct, easier way is to do the mantras. But what is the intention, benefit of all? Don't hold on to negativity. Holding on to negativity, even though others may have done. I have gone through myself on multiple occasions these things. But it's not going to help us. It's not going to help them also. It's not going to help the world. Do our duty. Whatever the duty is, do it and move on. Our goal in this sansar is not to be trapped in the sansar. Look at the Bhagavad Gita. So I'm just take another minute or so. I'm going a little bit over time. Sorry about that. He's written here so clearly in verse number 3, chapter 15. He says here, he says to cut this sansar out of the mind. This is called Brahma Vidya. Does it mean you're just going to live in a cave or a hermit or something? No. That's not what it means. It means that one is living with tremendous enlightened power and energy and truth, holding on to the Brahma Vidya internally, without negativity. Sarva Bhuta Hite Rataha, with keeping beautiful, good thoughts and minds for others, navigating through whatever obstacle may be there. And the Navaran mantra, Namah Shivaya mantra will obliterate all the obstacles. The mantras ki takat hi wo hai. And then from that, what will happen ultimately? One will be freed to understand Brahma Vidya, to do further sadhana. Asanga shastrena dridena chitva. This is the last part of verse number 3 in chapter 15 of the Bhagavad Gita. Asangatva. One gets freed. One is not entangled. One is not stuck anymore. And in that beautiful state of realization, one is able to live in the realm of Prakriti with freedom. There's all the obstacles go away. That is the grace of Shiv Shakti. That is the grace of doing Bij Mantratmak Sadhana, of Bij Sadhana, Mahamrityunjay Sadhana, Namah Shivaya, the Mantra Sadhana, which is Sabija Sadhana, which is Sabija Dhyan. Sabija Dhyan is Dhyan that is going to awaken us, but always. Now, what if somebody asks, just say one more thing here. What if somebody says, I want to have a lot of name and fame and all that? Okay. If you want that, you can do the sadhana for that purpose also. You will get that at some point, you will get it. You see, but it is a temporary thing. Like if somebody says, I want to do Namah Shivaya mantra 51,000 times, Purush Charan, isko Purush Charan kehte hai, by the way. If somebody is really very serious about all this and going to a higher stage, but has a materialistic desire, that thing is there. You get you do the sadhana, you get the fruit. I mentioned it yesterday, that a fruit is formed. The fruit of experience is formed by sadhana. You see? But when that fruit comes, it's available for you to enjoy. It's like this, when you plant the seed, eventually a tree grows and then eventually a fruit comes. And then the fruit has to ripen and then you can eat the fruit. Isn't it so? And the fruit also has seeds inside there. It is a very beautiful analogy, very close. It's very beautiful because when the phala that comes from sadhana, what do you do with that phala? We can enjoy it, we can use it for enjoyment, for benefit, that is within Sattvagun, Rajagun, Tamogun, and that phala can also be utilized to plant more seeds, to grow more trees like this, and to expand further. But that phala can also, this is the Nishkam Bhakti, which is very rare. When the phala comes, the pure bhakta gives it right back to the Lord and distributes that as prasadam. वो संत की स्थिति है. अद्भुत बात है ये सब. कहाँ से चालू करे, कहाँ से बंद. It is a tremendous thing, These things are so phenomenal. They are so beautiful, and Sanatan Sanskriti is for the whole Vishwa. So we'll stop here for today. We'll do the closing prarthana in just a second. Once again, prayers to all the great sages, prostrations to all the great sages, and to all the incarnations of the Lord to bless us along this beautiful path, to give us more energy and shakti and wisdom to keep moving ahead. And may each one of us tan man dhan se sukhi ho jaye. No obstacle remain, no family obstacle remain, no financial obstacle remain, no obstacle of any kind, sharirik, mansik, kayik, any kind of difficulty is there. May Bhagwan Shankar and the great goddess Mahalakshmi, Mahashakti, by their blessings, remove all obstacles, and that's so that the Brahma Vidya can take hold within our body, within our mind, and we can live into that Ananda state. With that sankalpa, we will now do the closing prayer.